All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. This is one of the pit stop episodes that we are doing at the SHOT Show in 2026. We are coming to you from the Otis Technologies booth, which is America's gun care, and they are proudly made. So you need to go out and buy some Otis products. And I am super excited to have with me Ashley Hlebinsky.
You pronounced my name right.
I'm hooked on phonics.
You're like one of the only people. It's been like a real struggle all day.
I don't want to embarrass myself is what it comes down to.
You know what's so funny is my name is really easy. You just forget the H at the beginning, and then it's literally Hlebinsky.
Here's what I love. It comes up on my spell check on my phone.
Oh, it does? Like
It
correct?
does.
Like it
Yeah,
corrects it?
Yeah, it corrects it. It
To
corrects.
Hlebinsky with the H.
Yes, with the H.
Solid. The other day, I was typing the word guns into my Signal chat, and it auto-corrected to Tums, which also could have been what I was talking about. Yeah, that was a first, and I liked that one a lot. Yeah,
That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Well, it is great to have you on again. You always have stuff going on.
Yeah,
Always
that's a
have
good
stuff
thing.
on. It is good.
Yeah,
It is.
you guys don't see the times when I don't, and I sit in my house and I'm like, I'm irrelevant. It happens.
please.
It does happen. It comes in waves, and I'm like, I don't think anyone wants to
It
hire me
happens
anymore.
for a weekend, okay? It
No,
might be a long weekend. It might be a 3-day weekend, but
My husband gets that. He gets that, Ashley. No. And then I'm like, I'm too busy. So it's a real roller coaster. It's like I have bipolar disorder or something.
perfect.
Yeah.
I know, right? I used to think that it only affected guys, but now that I pick up on it, I'm like, oh no, chicks have this too.
Yeah, yeah.
Women have this.
Well, I do actually.
I know,
Bipolar disorder too. I should probably specify that so someone doesn't think I'm just being insensitive. I have bipolar 2 disorder. It's okay.
yours.
I said it, and then we moved on, and I was like, oh no, now I'm insensitive.
You have a pedigree for it. I do not.
Yeah.
I'm
I
self-diagnosed.
have an excuse.
Right, I'm just self-diagnosed.
But I'm medicated, so I don't know what my problem is. It's not working.
They need to up the dosage.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this. All right, so this is I call this is the opposite of a Toby Keith song. We are going to talk about you. We're not talking about me. So you have a ton of stuff going on. You've got a podcast going besides all the social medias. You got a podcast, right? Even though the lady came in and thought you were a podcaster, but not. Yeah.
I mean, technically, yes. Danny from Cody and I've had a podcast for 7 or 8 seasons, but we don't advertise it. We have a small but mighty following. I don't see the allure, but other people do, so we keep doing it. Center pays me for it, so that's fine.
That's what counts, right?
That's
as long as the check clears, that's
that's
cool.
exactly.
So what do you guys talk about on the show?
Oh, goodness. So many things. It's kind of all over the place. So it started doing a lot of history topics, but we do also cover museum curation things, like how to interpret guns used in crime, right? How to interpret guns used in some level of tragedy, and at what point in history is it acceptable to interpret that object, and at what point do you need to hold off a little bit longer, and we have a series that we have done periodically, which we call the Real Gun Makers of the Connecticut River Valley, like the Real Housewives, because gun makers are so dramatic, historic gun makers, like Sam Colt's brother, axe murdered someone to death in New York and claimed self-defense and then killed himself, in prison. There's just Hiram Stevens Maxim was a bigamist, and also might have been a guy named William Cantello. That's a fun conspiracy theory. Let's see, the Brownings have gotten into some stuff. So we talk about that kind of stuff. Sometimes we try to tailor it so that we've got some episodes that are about guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
The technology, some episodes that are about, social history, some episodes that are about museums. And then sometimes we just talk about we like to talk about when people yell at me a lot. When I was doing expert witness testimony, Second Amendment stuff, and people were real mean. So we talk about that too. And then sometimes every once in a while, we'll talk about hunting or what we actually do in in our spare time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. It sounds like you might have to wear a tinfoil hat when you listen to the show. Is that?
We do have one joke where we call it Dan's Conspiracy Corner. He does love a good conspiracy. By the way, it's called History Unloaded. I'm so bad at this.
Again, you might need to up that dose.
Well, my service dog died, so.
Oh no.
Yeah, Marley. I just made that a real downer. I'm sorry. Yeah. So we'll blame that.
That's it's understandable.
Yeah, you never met Marley, but he was in the hotel room when we did Riding Shotgun. Yeah, the first
in
time.
Dallas. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, you might have met him. He was wandering around, but I just didn't bring him in the car with us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right. So, yeah. So you talk about all that kind of stuff on the podcast. You're all over the place. Like you messaged me out of the blue back in December, and you're like, "Hey, are we neighbors?"
I had no
I
idea.
don't know.
I had no idea.
I had no idea because you're like, you were at the Smithsonian,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay, well, she must live in Virginia. And then you're like, oh, I'm doing stuff at the LAPD Museum.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, she must live in California. No, I'm at the Dakota Museum in Montana. I'm like,
Wyoming.
or Wyoming, sorry. And,
I'm
yeah.
working on a project. I have a work permit in Canada right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, I live in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
What?
That's not by my own personal choice, but you know, I travel so much for work. All my clients are all over the place. So my husband works for a company in New Hampshire.
Very cool.
You
Very
can probably
cool.
guess which one, but I don't want to give them free advertising. They got enough money.
They are not a sponsor of the show, but they should be.
Oh, well, I can't even get a tour of the facility, so
What?
good luck on that one.
Oh my gosh. Don't they know who you are?
No, no, because spouses aren't got things.
Oh,
It's
man.
such a big company that, you know, it's not as easy like when he was at like other companies like
Yeah.
like FN. I was always around and stuff like that, but not with this. But maybe someday.
All right.
I like that we're just not saying the company. I think
That's okay.
we keep on keeping on that way. You think you can figure it out if
Right.
you know anything about New Hampshire.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so you work for a nonprofit, and you guys just scored a big
Yeah.
score.
So I'm a full-time consultant. This is why it gets so confusing for people. But I did co-found the University of Wyoming College of Law's Firearms Research Center, and I do serve as its executive director. But I do it as a contractor. So my colleague George Moxery is the tenured law professor that's employed formally with the university. And George is a Second Amendment scholar. He and several other people wrote there's about to be another one, but the first Second Amendment case book that's taught in law schools. He teaches a Second Amendment course. So we're kind of like a yin and yang. He's the lawyer, I'm the historian. And we just got just under $1 million from the U.S. Department of Education to create Second Amendment programming and teach teachers about the Second Amendment and then how to fuel productive conversations in the classroom on such a topic that gets really politicized. So very exciting. It's a 2-year grant. We're just in the early stages of it.
Very cool. I always think back to when people develop programs. I always think back to when I was in college. We had an elementary methods professor that said you start off all the lessons with, as a result of this lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this what you're doing as well? As the result of this, we're going to talk about, this and this and this.
I
We're
hope
going to
not.
cover this. We're going to have that in the curriculum.
So we're not writing curriculum. That was like a misconception when people were reporting on it initially. So what we're doing is we've got 4 major components. Half of the components are more like instructional tools. So we'll be doing 12 videos. It'll be about 6 to 8 minutes, something that you can have in the classroom. Or, what people don't realize is a lot of teachers, like, they don't get to necessarily teach their specialty, or their passion for a long time. So I was actually a TA for history ed students in grad school that were going off and teaching. And I was like, what do you mean tomorrow you could be teaching psychology but you like U.S. history? And so it's a lot to ask teachers to do what they do anyways. And then to be like, oh, let's take one of the most like hotly discussed
hot button
topics
issue.
in America, and now you have to understand it. So I'm sure it'll be helpful for them too. But these videos will be kind of like what I'm calling just the facts, ma'am, because there's no commentary on it. It's just like, here's the text and structure of the Second Amendment. Here's colonial militias. Here's the National Firearms Act, the Gun Control Act. Here's the Bruin decision, basic things like that you could show in the classroom that are like digestible bits. That sounds gross. And then the other part of kind of the resources is we're in the process of creating a historical firearms law database. So all of the laws that are related to firearms, and not just the text, but also scans of the original documents. So we'll have primary source materials, and then teachers that participate, and then ultimately everybody will have access to an internal AI search and summative tool to help them kind of process through all that information so they can use it in the classroom. And then the other half is engaging with the material, engaging with scholars, and learning how to teach something that can be really controversial. And imagine the extra level of, dealing with schools and the sensitivity of schools and what students go through, and, especially with like lack of mental health resources, and then them doing like Alice, drills and stuff. So it's really difficult. So we'll be doing webinars. We'll do 8 webinars, and we'll take different Second Amendment topics, and then we'll bring in a scholar from differing views. So we'll be like, here's ERPO. I probably won't do ERPO, but here's red flag laws. This is the topic. This is what one side has to say about the topic, and here's what the other side. And then the teachers get to ask questions. Mm-hmm. And the hope for that is that teachers across America, they're going to bring different baggage, different opinions on guns, sure. And usually, depending on what your opinion is, you'll never hear from someone educated on the other side, because they just don't interact very often. So I'm hoping that, you'll come because you want to hear the person you like, and you'll get to hear somebody else too. And you'll get to ask questions so that you better understand the conversation. Like, just because you don't agree with that person, you kind of want to know where they're coming from, right? So that you can better kind of formulate your own opinions and be like, okay, so they said that, never thought about that, but I still don't agree with it. So we're kind of hoping that that'll help teachers feel like they can engage with scholars who aren't going to be angry, right, or mad at them. And then it's going to all kind of end with a capstone 2-day conference. We'll be able to fund 100 teachers to come to it. First day will be all Second Amendment oriented, kind of history, scholarship, again, more interacting with scholars. And then the second day will be more workshops on, like, how do we answer questions? Like, if you get a difficult question in the classroom, how do you make sure you're answering it so you're teaching the material but not infusing your own bias, or not like feeding into, some of the controversy. And then we'll also have a level of like firearm safety training. I don't know what that looks like as of right now, but like we've got a committee full of different people. One of them is Kevin Dixie, who's a firearms trainer. Yeah. And so he'll be involved in that component for sure. So it'll be interesting. And then we hope that after that, we'll ask teachers who participated to write sample curricula, and then we'll publicize it, make it available for everybody. But that way the teachers get to do it, showing how much they've kind of learned about the whole process. Very cool. This is really like, there's a lot to this. Yeah. I think my biggest concern right now is getting people to sign up. That's the biggest learning curve right now, right. Is all the different national associations. All of our committee have contacts in different parts of the country, because I really do want to get a good representative, like cross-section of suburban, rural, urban communities, mm-hmm. communities in blue states, communities in red states, to kind of just, I said to someone, I want people to give us a chance, Yeah. And not just assume, it's going to be like, hardcore one way or the other. I want people to be able to come and interact, and hopefully, I'm calling it the trickle up effect, right? Like, you get better teaching in the schools in the Second Amendment, and we're going to be focusing a lot on high schoolers. So those people are now about to become of voting age, and now they have a more nuanced understanding of the topic. So eventually, as they get up, and become mm-hmm. adults, now we have a better conversation from the get-go, rather than people trying to figure it out later in life, or 10 years down the road when they have an experience. Right, they have something they want to start paying attention. Yeah, exactly. So trickle up effect. That's trickle down, cool. Whatever. But trickle up is a new thing. It's a new thing. I'm trying to make it a thing, like fetch. Oh my God, that's awesome. All right, well, listen, we need to wrap it up here because you've got to keep moving. Oh yeah. Where can people find you in the pod and? Yeah, so if you are interested in what the Research Center is doing, it's firearmsresearchcenter.org. If you're a teacher and you're interested in participating, you can go to that link and sign up. And once we get our webinar dates and everything rolling, we'll keep everybody in the loop. There is no cap on participation. We'll have a cap on funding for the conference, but everything else will be accessible to any teacher that wants to participate. Podcast we're just on all your streaming platforms. Again, it's History Unloaded. And if you want to see what I'm up to and maybe see some dog posts, some food, it's at History and Heels on Instagram and at official Ashley Hlebinsky on Facebook. Very cool. Yeah. Awesome. We're going to put some links below there. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for having me. It's always good to run into you and see you. And if you've listened to the show this much, please share with your friends, because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. We want to thank Otis Technologies for letting us use in the booth. And we will talk to you guys next time. Thank you very much.